Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're here. Today, we're opening up a truly fascinating foundational text. Specifically, we're zeroing in on Chapter 1 of the Organization of Commerce and Management textbook. That's pages 1 through 13, which is all about the principles of management. We are basically going to completely transform the way you think about management today. We're taking it away from that old-fashioned, kind of outdated idea of just bossing people around and elevating it into a highly structured, incredibly effective science. So, if you've ever looked at a massive corporation and wondered how large, complex groups of people actually manage to get anything done successfully, well, you are in exactly the right place. Let's dive right in.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. What are management principles? 2. Why do they matter? 3. Fayol's administrative theory. And 4. Taylor's scientific management.
Okay, let's jump right into section 1. What are management principles? It's really all about moving from chaos to structure. To get us properly grounded, the textbook provides a really clear definition. A principle is defined as a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior, or for a chain of reasoning. Now, what does that actually mean in the business world? Basically, techniques and systems that give you universally accepted, one-directional results, those are your principles. They act as a solid set of guidelines for managers, so they don't have to constantly operate on a stressful, highly risky trial-and-error basis. It's about having a tested, reliable playbook.
Now, I know fundamental truth sounds a bit abstract, so let's use a brilliant everyday analogy right from the text to make it real. Think of a cricket match, or actually, honestly, any team sport. The entire strategy of the play is designed and then divided among the players based entirely on their specific qualities and capabilities. I mean, you obviously wouldn't put your absolute best bowler in as the wicketkeeper, right? In management terms, this incredibly simple, logical strategy is known as the division of work. It's one of the most foundational principles we'll be discussing today, and it instantly humanizes the whole concept of organizational structure.
Moving right along to section 2, why management principles matter. Think of them as the absolute engine of an organization.
So let's quickly rattle off the actual nature of these principles. First up, they have universal application. That means they work for a massive, multinational corporation just as well as they do for your local corner bakery. But remember, they're general guidelines, not rigid, unbreakable laws. Because they're formed by ongoing practice and deal directly with human behavior, they have to be highly flexible. And perhaps most importantly, they establish a clear cause and effect relationship. You pay fair wages, well, as an effect, you get increased worker output.
Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is seeing how these abstract principles lead directly to tangible, real-world outcomes. They actively help managers find that perfect, delicate balance between physical and human resources. They empower leaders to make scientific, systematic decisions rather than just kind of relying on gut guesswork. They also heavily guide management in understanding their social responsibility, things like ensuring quality products and fair remuneration for staff. And finally, because business is dynamic, these principles encourage constant research and development, allowing companies to adopt new trends and stay highly competitive. So, we've seen the mechanics of these principles, but it begs a rather compelling question, doesn't it? Who actually wrote these rules? Who are the specific architects that transformed management from guesswork into the structured science we see today? Well, we are going to look at two undeniable historical heavyweights of management theory.
Let's start with section 3, Fayol's administrative theory, which focuses heavily on a top-down management structure. Enter Henry Fayol. He lived from 1841 to 1925, and his contributions were so absolutely seminal that he is universally known as the father of modern management. After conducting numerous experiments and real-world observations, he laid out his groundbreaking ideas in a famous book titled General and Industrial Administration. In that text, he proposed 14 specific principles of management that still serve as vital guidelines for decision-making and managerial actions to this very day. Now, Fayol developed 14 principles in total, but don't worry, we aren't going to list all of them right now. We're just going to focus on a few of the most critical ones highlighted in our source text. We already touched on division of work for boosting efficiency. Then there's discipline, which ensures essential obedience and respect for rules at all levels of the company. But look at unity of command. This one is absolutely crucial. It dictates that a subordinate should receive orders from only one superior. This entirely prevents the nightmare scenario of getting conflicting instructions from multiple bosses. Now, don't confuse that with unity of direction. That principle simply ensures that each group with a shared objective operates under one single head and one single plan. And finally, subordination of interest demands that the overall group's goals always take absolute precedence over any individual's personal goals, much like our cricket players prioritizing the team's victory over their own personal stats. All right, flipping the script for Section 4. Taylor's scientific management, the bottom-up scientific approach. So while Fayol looked at things from the top down, Frederick Winslow Taylor was fiercely obsessed with efficiency right at the ground level. He firmly believed in totally abandoning the old rule of thumb, trial and error methods in favor of rigorous scientific analysis. He insisted on what he called scientific task setting, which basically means fixing a fair day's work to prevent employees from working below their true capacity. To actually motivate them to hit those targets, he introduced the differential piece rate wage plan. Under this totally new system, standard output was rewarded, sure, but significantly higher rates were offered to employees who completed more than the standard quantity. He was directly mathematically linking higher remuneration to higher performance.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how Taylor split up an organization. He championed a functional organization that strictly, and I mean strictly, separated the planning from the actual implementation. On the planning level, you have these hyper-specialized roles all working together. You've got a route clerk who determines the physical path of the work, you have an instruction clerk who literally writes down the guidelines, a time and cost clerk manages the strict budgets and deadlines, and finally a disciplinarian to just ensure all the factory rules are met.
Then, moving down the hierarchy to the implementation level, those plans are put into action by a whole new set of distinct specialists. The gang boss is the one actually getting the labor organized. The speed boss rigorously monitors the timeline, the repair boss handles all the machinery and maintenance, and the inspector is the final check to ensure the work actually meets the specified quality standards. By using these completely distinct foremen to supervise different specific aspects of production, Taylor proved that management could drastically, almost unbelievably, improve overall performance.
But Taylor wasn't just about rigid structural charts. He had a profound underlying philosophy, summarized nicely by these core concepts. He deeply advocated for harmony, not discord, aiming to minimize conflicts to create a genuinely healthy work environment. He pushed hard for cooperation, not individualism. But perhaps his most radical, game-changing idea was what he called the mental revolution. This principle demanded a complete, fundamental shift in attitude from both the employees and the management towards each other. They literally needed to realize their equal importance to the process and cooperate fully to maximize prosperity for everyone involved.
Now you might be sitting there thinking, okay, these guys developed their theories well over a century ago. Does any of this actually still matter today? The answer is a massive, resounding yes. The text makes it a point to highlight that these traditional theories absolutely form the bedrock for the recent trends we see in management today. With just a few modifications to suit our highly digital, changing business environment, Viola and Taylor's concepts are directly driving modern, complex fields like disaster management, event management, and the execution of corporate social responsibility, or CSR. The core, fundamental principles of planning, dividing work, and maintaining unified direction are literally as vital today as they were 100 years ago.
Well, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, haven't we? From breaking down what a management principle actually is in Chapter 1 to exploring the visionary, contrasting frameworks of Fayol and Taylor. The science of management is continually evolving, yet its roots, those fundamental truths, remain incredibly strong. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on. Whether you are coordinating a massive global event, leading a local community disaster response, or maybe even building your very own startup from scratch, how will you apply this powerful, structured toolkit to the organizations of tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.